Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo Podcast. I'm Joey Calvo. Please continue to help the victims of the Texas floods and the California wildfires. They do need our assistance, especially through this time as they're rebuilding. So today we have Kipp Van Camp, and he wrote Van Camp. I'm sorry, and he wrote a book, a new medical memoir. Kipp, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Joey.
Okay, and explain to our audience who you are.
Well, I'm an old guy who wrote a book.
Okay.
I'm a family. I started out as a family physician. I'm a radiologist now. I did 2 residencies, and I did a fellowship in interventional radiology. That's the radiologists who use X-ray guidance to perform procedures and minor surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
So I started clear back when I was a young man. I started keeping track of interesting cases, and over the years, I've just kept a small notebook and filled up multiple notebooks because people provide all the information and all the stories. I don't have to create them. The truth is stranger than fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be a good thing to let people know what going into medicine used to be like. And I'm working on the sequel, and I have the plans of writing at least 3 of these, maybe 4,
Mm-hmm.
and chronicling the life of a doctor.
Okay.
It's patterned after the style of James Herriot, if anyone likes veterinarians and the All
Mm-hmm.
Creatures Great and Small series. That's what it's patterned after. So
Okay. All right. So the new book is called Heartbeats and Handshakes, and you said it's based off of patients that had you had worked with.
yeah, real
Okay.
stories. So the book Heartbeats and Handshakes is the medical school years and the internship years. And so the way medical school works, it's still the same 35 years ago till today. The young med students sit in a classroom. A lot of it's done online now, but you're still part of a classroom. You're part of uh, you're at a campus, and you may sit in your home and do your lectures online, but you're part of a class. And then after you finish your first 2 years, you go out and do clinical rotations. And that's where you actually learn being a doctor more than sitting in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hands-on, on-the-job training, and there's nothing like experience doing that. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you started out as a family doctor, and then went into radio. What made you decide to go into radiology?
well, family medicine is really hard. It takes so much time. The I was starting practice in the years where it wasn't corporate medicine. We actually would graduate from med school and then do your residency and then hang a shingle and actually start practicing. Oftentimes as a solo practitioner, sometimes as a group of 3 or 4 same specialty doctors. And the to make a living, you'd have to see 25, 30, 35 patients a day.
Mm-hmm.
And family medicine is not, you spend all your life. So here's the training. You go through college 4
Mm-hmm.
years,
Mm-hmm.
then you go through med school 4 more years, that's 8. And then back then you did an internship, that's 9. And then you do a 3-year residency in family medicine, so now you're at 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people would do 1 more year of a fellowship where they do sports medicine, obstetrics,
Mm-hmm.
just, things that they enjoyed, and they become a specialist or a subspecialist, but they just spent 13 years of their life. So if you started at 22, you're 35 when you start practicing. So you've delayed all of the making money. You've delayed the gratification that comes with being a doctor. And so it's a hard gig. That's why a lot of people in primary care today are nurse practitioners and PAs,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand. I mean, that's the new model. The
Mm-hmm.
primary care people are not specialists, but when you do a family medicine residency, you become a specialist of general practice.
Mm-hmm.
So primary care clinicians, PAs and nurse practitioners don't do residencies.
Right.
Now there's a day coming where they're starting to do more postgraduate training, but being the reason the model is changing is it takes so much time. Your half of your life's done by the time you're trained,
Yeah.
which is hard to imagine. And then I went back and did another residency. So I went back because family medicine was harder than I ever expected. And I didn't think, I loved seeing 90% of the people I saw, but the
Mm-hmm.
10% that were difficult were really difficult.
Right.
They were, they were the octogenarian who walked in with a list of 20 symptoms, and the office manager had given them a 20-minute appointment, and
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to go through this list of issues
Mm-hmm.
in 20 minutes, what would normally take an hour and a half to do. So
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't for me.
Right.
I delivered babies. I did everything. That's
Mm-hmm.
how the old model used to be.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back, I did radiology because that's where technology was.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
radiology is a great profession because of technology, because
Mm-hmm.
we have the tools to see inside the body now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, I actually, before this podcast, I actually went to see my doctor, and she is a PA herself. Um, so, because I had to get some referrals for appointments I have coming up, like this week, with in reference to seeing a neurologist for the tremors I have, and then next week seeing the um, endocrinologist, and then going to see the um, dermatologist in reference to the rash I have, and seeing if it's an allergic reaction to Ozempic or something I'm taking, or
sure.
and then after that, I go to see the knee doctor or the orthopedic doctor, or no, I go back and see my regular the PA and the podiatrist, and then see um, the orthopedic, because my knees, like when I'm walking up the steps, don't want to work with me, and because I have uh, degeneration joint. Um,
So your own story just paints the picture of what's happened in medicine today.
mhm,
Everybody is specialized, and the primary care doctor is the gatekeeper who is
mhm,
directing all the patients to the right referrals. But
mhm,
I had a lady come in. This is somewhat fascinating. I had a lady come in who's followed me clear back from family practice. So radiologists don't usually see family medicine patients, but
mhm,
every now and then doctors keep doing what they did. I continue to see some family medicine patients. I see a husband wife that I saw clear back in my first practice,
mhm,
and they followed me around. And the lady comes in and she says, would you take a look at this skin lesion on my neck area? I said, sure. And so I looked at it. She says, is it bad? I said, no. And she says, oh, I want to hug you. That's such a relief. It's so ugly. Can you take it off? I said, yeah. She said, well,
mhm,
the dermatologist, I can't get in to see the dermatologist
mhm,
for 2 months. So
mhm.
you really can take it off? Yeah. Well, how long is that going to take? 10 minutes. Really? And you can
Yeah,
do that? So then I numbed her up and took it off. It took 10 minutes.
yeah,
That old school model is gone. It's a shame, but that's what old guys still can do in medicine. And that's the old model. And I still think the old model's better than the new model, to be
yeah.
honest with you. I think
Matter of
the
fact,
specialists are important, but I think we've over specialized.
in
Um,
reference to that, I actually had one same way. Um, Dermatologist was like, because I asked her to check it, and she says, "Oh, it's fine. It's not cancerous or anything." I'm like, "Okay." She's, I'll numb it up and it'll fall right off. I'm like, okay. And I'm just as you were talking, I'm starting to see if I can feel it. I don't even feel it at work because it's not there anymore.
It fell off.
It fell off.
Just like she said.
Yeah, just
so
like
she
she
knew
said.
what she was doing. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
Yeah, and then so like I said, and then she did because like I said, she did a biopsy on this rash. It's the skin's all peeling and everything. It's on my arms and on my legs, and I'm thinking it was from bed bug bites, but to find out it wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Then you get to fumigate everything if it's bed bugs.
Yeah. So yeah, and then so I'm waiting to hear, like you said, the results on that. So you said the next book you're working. Sorry. So you're working on the sequel to this book, and
let's talk about. So the premise of the book I wrote, Heartbeats and Handshakes, is a very lighthearted, easy read, and the feedback's been exceptional. We achieved in a couple different categories. We achieved #1 status on Amazon. It came out of the gates really fast. It's one of those books that it kind of opens the doors up that no one gets to see behind. Like I take you into surgery and explain what's going on in surgery, and but there are always interesting things. This is not a dry textbook. It's nothing like that. It is an entertaining. You either laugh out loud or you cry or you gasp. I mean, it's just one of those very heartfelt storybooks in many respects. Well, so I got such a good response. I said, well, I've got not 1,000, but I've got 100 more stories. The patients provide the stories. Now you got to make sure patients don't care if you put their story in the book. You got to make sure that if they recognize themselves. So what we did is we anonymized it, but you still have to make sure they can't recognize themselves, or you have to give permission.
Yeah.
And because you're telling secrets, you're telling stories that are, the doctor-patient bond is a very important bond that needs to be respected, and it needs to be preserved. You don't want to lose people's confidence and trust.
Right.
Well, so but I have these stories that are either humorous or, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Or I'll give you an example. I'm a resident in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm in my radiology residency. And this is just off the cuff because I'm sitting here thinking, what is a good story that might kind of paint a picture of just the kind of interesting things that are in this book? I was on CAT scan that night, so I had to do all the CAT scans. So the tech comes in, does the CAT scans, and then I read them and give them a preliminary report. And then if there's a serious problem that I don't know the answer to, I call the attending. So I'm a resident. Well, so this man comes in, and he's totally incoherent. And he's inebriated. He has been drinking. And I go to help move him, and he's really light, but he's covered in all kinds of, he's got his gown on, but he's got all these blankets and things over him. And so we move him onto the CAT scan table, and we go to scan him, and we take his covers off so that they can scan him, and he doesn't have any legs.
Oh, wow.
And I say, what on earth? Why doesn't he have any legs? There's a fresh cut. The legs are totally cut perfectly. The man passed out on the railroad tracks. He was
my God.
a man who had been drinking. He had gone out to the what's it called? The stockyard area.
Yeah.
And he had passed out and laid across the track. Didn't know it because he was drunk and passed out. And the train ran completely over his legs and literally like a fine surgeon just severed those legs perfectly.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, now I don't know that I'll put that story in the next book, but that's the kind of stories. They're interesting things that were real to life examples of life and how life happens. And then I weave a story around that. But I always said, what a horrible day.
Yeah.
You go on a bender, you have a bad day, you're upset, you and your wife are fighting or whatever, you drink, you go where you shouldn't, you pass out, next thing you wake up and your life changed in a heartbeat. So that's just one example. So,
wow.
That's kind of a crude one, but it gets it makes the point.
Oh wow.
So I guess my point of that is things can always get worse.
Yeah.
We all can have it pretty bad, but things can always get worse.
Yeah. All right. So with this next upcoming book, you're gonna have stories kind of like this one.
Well, that's probably not a great example.
I'm saying like an example. I'm saying.
Yeah, they're probably more. It's more. So I was in family medicine. I was trying to think of something that's a good story that I had in family medicine that's in the book. Okay, so I had a man who was he was a tobacco farmer. I was in a town that actually raised tobacco.
Right.
And he came into the clinic and he was really coughing and was pretty sick. And I remember saying to him, you got to quit smoking. Well, I was young and I was pretty, dogmatic. You need to straighten up your life. Well, that wasn't the approach I needed to be taking. I had to learn to be a better doctor than I was.
Right.
I had to learn to deal with patients and have patience. And the man said to me, he said, most of your patients work on a tobacco farm here because that's the industry in our town. We raise tobacco. That's what we do. And here you are telling me to quit smoking, and yet that's how you pay your bills here.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I had to come up with a new way of reaching that man. And it wasn't through it wasn't the direct, you better quit or scaring someone straight. It was compassionate, understanding. This is a hard thing. No one wakes up and says, hey, you know what? I'm going to get addicted to cigarettes. Right. No one wakes up and says that. Someone says, try it. They try it. They like it. Next thing you know, or at that time in the world, it was cool. All the old, you remember all the old, you'd get a magazine cover from Time magazine or Life magazine clear back when the movie stars had a cigarette in their hand.
Yep.
Those were cool things.
Yep.
Or the doctors. I remember an ad that was the Surgeon General, and the Surgeon General says use Camel. It was clear back in the 30s and 40s. The Surgeon General doesn't say that today. That doesn't happen. So it's just an entertaining, easy read, enjoyable book.
Right.
Most people say to me it's most people who've read it, certainly you're not going to reach everybody, but most people who have read it have enjoyed it. What they like about it is my honesty. When I was making a mistake, I would say that. I would say, boy, I really screwed this one up. It's a good thing the patient didn't know. Or the patient, I went in and told him afterwards, I really made a mistake here. I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm learning too. And so there's a genuineness and a true honesty in the way I write, and people like that. Apparently one more thing. So I've done some speaking on the book and where you do book clubs or a presentation about the book, just trying to promote it. And I had a lady come up to me after a book presentation, and she said, you know what I think is so good about your book? It's a wonderful human interest stories. And she said, people today are craving genuine human interest stories, stories that touch people in whatever way. Someone who overcomes cancer, someone who has a difficult delivery, someone who, was overweight and found a way to get their life in order, someone who went through a horrible divorce and got depressed, all of those kind of things. And so that's what the story is. That's what the book's like. It's just interesting stories.
Okay. So how can people reach out to you in reference to um, getting the book or even
So the
wanting?
books, we're not real sophisticated. The book's on Amazon. It's
Okay.
Heartbeats and Handshakes. It's really easy to get. We have a audio version coming out real soon, where my son actually is the narrator. At least that's what we're working on. Um, you can get the. There's a couple ways to get a hold of me. If you really wanted to talk to me, I have a podcast that is Doctor's Orders, and I have an email that says Ask Doctor's Orders. So you spell it out, DOCTORS, orders, ORDERS, at outlook.com. So that's how you get a hold of me if you really have a question you want to ask, or you just want to make a comment, or you didn't like the book, you'd rather see something else. I mean,
Okay.
I'll take whatever you want to throw at me.
Okay. So as we're going, explain a little bit more about this podcast, Ask Doctor's Orders.
Okay, so about 20 years ago, it was during the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare.
Yep.
And the country was really struggling as to what do we do? Do we pass this thing? Does Congress pass this thing? Is it good for America? Is it well thought out? So I got involved in an organization of doctors who came up with our own healthcare plan. We actually wrote a well thought out plan that was written by doctors in the trenches. And then we made appointments. There were 200 of us, all total. So about 60, maybe 70 of us made an appointment with Congress. So we literally on the same day, we all had reached out to our Congress people, said we're coming in our white lab coats and we're going to present to you our healthcare plan, and we think it's better than the Affordable Care Act. And so we got there, and they didn't want to hear from us. It was a waste of our time. Honestly, it was an absolute waste of my time and any other doctor that went. And I wish we hadn't done it, except there's always a silver lining in life if you can keep your eyes open and look for it. And the silver lining was people that I knew asked where I went and why. Then a couple write-ups in a newspaper about what I was trying to accomplish with all these other doctors. Next thing you know, people said, you have some good ideas. Why don't you get that out there? Well, I didn't know how to do any of this. I was just practicing medicine. So I went to the local radio station and I said, I got an idea for a radio show, and it's called Doctor's Orders. And it's an hour-long show we do once a week, and we take calls. We have guests, and we talk about pertinent topics in healthcare. And well, it kind of took off. So we started this show. So I did it all the way through from maybe 2008 until about 2012 or 13. Well, I got a few sponsors, but I didn't have the time to push it like a true broadcaster would or a radio host would. And so it was an expensive hobby that I finally said, you know what, I'm going to let it die a natural death. But I always enjoyed it. Well, so for Christmas this last year, my wife said, you need to keep doing that Doctor's Orders. You were good at it. You liked it. So she and my family bought me some podcast equipment. So last Christmas, I started this podcast. And it is on Spotify. It is on Apple. And it's just Doctor's Orders. But there's apparently a lot of people like that name. So there's about 50 Doctor's Orders. So you got to find the one that says Kipp Van Camp with it. It's an hour-long podcast. We do it once a week. I have another doctor that does it with me. And it's just, we talk about interesting things in healthcare. That's it.
Well, one thing this podcast was looking for was sponsors, because we wanted to go on the radio in Seattle, LA, El Segundo, LA, El Segundo area, Boston, Chicago, and Atlanta. And I mean, if you know any companies that would be interested in sponsoring a podcast, send them my way, please, because that's one thing I wanted to do with this was expand out and so on.
I found a man who is really good at syndication.
Yeah.
But you got to find a sponsor who will pay his bills. And he helped me. At one point, we were on like 85 radio stations. And it was because of this man.
By any chance, is his initials FB?
No.
Oh, okay. Because that's
SJ.
SJ. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
I'll send you an email so you can get his name. You can look him up.
Yeah, because
he's a good guy. I worked with him. He was expensive and I didn't have the sponsors, so I just paid his bills myself.
Yeah.
And it became an expensive hobby is all.
Yeah, because the initials I gave me a list of companies and stuff, and I went out to every one of them, and like they really never got back to me. You know,
really, that's a shame.
So
that's a shame. This guy was the real deal, and he got me on. I was a syndicated radio show for a while, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and I had people. It was interesting. I had people. I would be in a small town. So for a few years, I did the pain management trap line where I went from little town to little town, and I'm in Kansas, and I went from little town to little town in Kansas, injecting patients at their hospital, doing pain management cases, epidural steroid injections, that kind of thing. And I had people say, "Hey, I heard you on the radio," and I had no idea that they were listening to me clear out in Western Kansas.
Wow.
So, it was crazy. The man did a really nice job for me. It was expensive, and I was paying for it. I didn't have a deep pocket taking care of it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. We because there was another gentleman that I worked with in reference to commercials. He sent me ads to use, and I put the ads on here. If you get a chance to see the other podcasts I've done on the YouTube channel, you don't hear the commercial. You see the commercial, but you don't hear it, and it ticked me off. I'm like, how the hell could this be happening?
Is that how you do it? Is that what they're telling you to do, or
yeah? Well, that was
or was that a mistake?
Well, that was I tried it because this platform that I use for this, when I went to upload the video itself, it would take like 20 minutes for it to upload through the platform itself. So I was like, I'll take it as the file itself, and it went through faster. You would be able to play, and I would play it 2 or 3 times. But when you replay it on YouTube, you don't hear it. You see the words coming up on the screen. You see the phone number for the ad itself, but you don't hear the narrator to it.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't hear the woman, saying, "Oh, these will replace GLPs, and you can get your glucose meter by calling blah blah blah." And then you don't hear the number being given out, but you see it on the screen.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't sound very effective.
Yeah, it didn't. So, all right. So, Kipp, I thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And when those new books come out, do please let me know. So I'll be happy to have you back on the podcast. We can promote it.
Yeah, I think I'll have one close to Christmas, maybe a month after. So
okay. So reach out to me.
I was going to tell you something I wanted to tell you. When I first saw your name, I didn't know if you were going to be Joey Calvo or Joey Gallo from Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny. You remember? He says to the judge, he says, "Now what's your name?"
Cousin Vinny.
Joey Calvo. No, it's Joey Gallo. I know you're Joey Calvo, but that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah. It's actually bald. It's actually bald for Span. It's bald in Spanish It's bald in Spanish. Calvo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it really means. Yeah.
Huh? There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Daddy had a great last name. So
yeah. Well, you can't do anything about that hardly.
I've been one of the lucky ones. I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't have a running bald spot yet. All my brothers and my dad had
live up to the name.
Lived up to the name. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just lucky. I was just lucky.
Yeah.
But Kipp, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And like you said, when the next book's ready to come out to me, and we'll make it happen.
All right, Joey. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone,
care.
for watching
Have
the
a
Life of
great
Joey Calvo podcast. God bless you all.